Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal Podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together.
I did not do that one. I swear to God, I didn't hit any buttons. Hello, everybody. Apparently, it's off the tracks already. So let me just bring in my wonderful guest and welcome all you wonderful, wonderful gatekeepers. I know, Susan, it seems like it's a long time. But what I decided to do just for Halloween season is open up with 10 minutes of music before 8. That way it gives everybody a chance to get in here and say hi and let these wonderful mods, like, you know, my blue wrench holders, like my beautiful Mairead, hello, darling, and you, Susan, and Donny, and Salvador, and I think Chris, aren't you a blue wrench? I think you are. Yes, you are. Yes, he has a wrench. You know, I gave him power tools. Well, not power tools. I guess you got to put some power behind it. Welcome, everybody. So I'm glad you like the music. It's fun. I'm trying to work with it. So thanks for working with me. I'm trying. It's not the easiest system to work. You got to go way up top to grab something and come down and turn the music down. There's not a lot of control, but introducing you to some great tunes for Halloween. One of them, actually two of them, the wonderful Kevin MacLeod, Leod, Macleod. So he probably pronounces it Macleod, something. I'm sure he says it better. Anyway, fantastic composer, absolutely wonderful. And another one that I have found that I'd love to introduce you to. You listened to some of his music last night. His name is Asher Falero. And I highly recommend go and look up their YouTube channels. It's all on YouTube Audio Library. And wow, if you find the right stuff, it can really set you in the mood. And tonight, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I know what I had planned, but I don't think it's going to happen that way. So let's just push all the buttons and see what pops out, okay? First of all, this old rattlesnake, I'm telling you what, if there was an award for beards in the shortest amount of time, the most achievement, the most precision, and the most, I think, downright just beautifully handsome. My wonderful friend, Steve Stockton. Come in here and bring your beard with you, my friend. Look at this. Was I lying? Am I on mute? Are you on mute? You're on mute. Unmute yourself, baby. Unmute you. Hit the button, buddy. I told you guys. There we are, baby.
Yeah,
look at
kind
this.
Of early today. I've been out running around in the desert. Went up to Cherry Canyon and made some film video stuff there. Yeah,
choking cherries. Is
choke
that like cow
canyon.
tipping?
Comes to it. But
I'm hearing parts of it. Was it fun?
Sun and the wind.
Is that legal?
It's getting there.
Is it legal? Choking cherries? Is that legal?
Yeah, I think it's a tree or something, actually.
Okay. I just adore the beard. I think it's, wait a minute. I almost had it. It's like Southern Punisher. It's got this. I don't know. I'm working on it, but I absolutely love it. And as far as I'm concerned, 5 stars across the board.
Yeah,
you're always 5 stars with me.
I've got some balm in it today, but it's still not cooperating fully. It's because of
and Edna's in.
Hey, Ted Branson.
And
And
I'm going to
we'll
send
put some
you.
beans in it. Now that'd
You
be
got
okay.
all
Do
that.
like a Viking style, maybe some bones of my enemies in there or something.
Your white beard, right? Gray beard? No, that's more white. I like it. I absolutely love it. I love to see your smiling face. I love to see the color back in your cheeks and you know the you know.
Been getting a
I'm
lot of
trying to.
sun. Been getting out in the desert, poking around. I love it out here. It's like being in
It's
a
wonderful.
cowboy movie or something.
Yeah. Yippee ki yay, motherfucker! All right, let's bring. We have a co-host in here. Let's bring him into the. Well, we've got let's just say 4 co-hosts. We'll just make it even Steven. So let me bring in Mr. Donny Cho.
Hi.
And we totally owe Donny an
There he
apology.
is. What's up, Doc?
Hey, Steve.
Last week he came in here. Steve, if you've got headphones, I'm already getting like an echo, and probably one more is going to just put it right off the edge. Perfect.
Case this time.
But last week we brought
I've got a
Donny
different
and
camera and microphone, but it's still
it's all right,
back.
baby.
It's
It's all right.
280p up there.
We'll work it all out. But Donny was here last Sunday. I think it was last Sunday, wasn't it, Donny? And we were listening to EVPs, and I got them all mixed up, and it was my fault. The thing is I couldn't see the writing, so I couldn't tell the difference between them. So we're going to go over them again tonight. And I hear from a little bird that they did pick up something while we were in the parlor at the Hoover House. And Steve loves our next guest. And I just thought we'd come in here and have a visit. What do y'all think? So let's bring him in here. I'll tell you what, when I met this man, my heart just smiled. And it's been smiling every time I talk to him since. So let's bring him in here. Michael Chiana. Come on in, darling. Hi, baby.
Hello. Hey, everybody. It's a miracle I got here. Can you hear me okay?
I got you perfect. 5'5", babe. 5'5".
Oh, nice. Yes. Everything that could go wrong today did, as far as my computers, my Wi-Fi, all went down.
Made it.
So I made it on my phone.
Here's to everybody. I'm already drinking out of Halloween cups. I've been doing it for a week. I said, why not? Just pull the stops on it, right, Steve?
Hey, God Steve. Hey, Donny. How you doing?
Hey, here's to everybody. Michael. Here's to the
Good
chat.
To see you again.
Good to see you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You drink.
Cheers. Coffee.
Absolutely.
Coffee.
In my, what does my cup say?
Unsweetened tea in my glow-in-the-dark mug.
It's totally me. You can't see it, but it says, keep calm and scary on. That's freaking awesome. So welcome to everybody. Now for the chat or anybody listening that does not know, Steve Stockton is the host of multiple fantastic and highly successful YouTube channels. 13 Past Midnight. He is partners with a gang of wonderful people, researchers, and Bill, and the driving force behind it all. Steve is the voice, and now the traveler, what do you call that? On location host. Like a journalist going out there, just investigative reporter, taking you to the sites of all these things that are happening. It's a fantastic, and a little bit of history, a little bit of mystery. Right, Steve?
Yeah.
So check him out there.
So today we're up in Chokecherry Canyon covering that. Back in 1973, there were some murders up there. Three teenagers from here in Farmington murdered 3 Navajo men. And back then it was kind of a rite of passage for the local kids to roll the drunks. Well, they went a little too far and killed these guys. And then Navajo shaman ended up putting a curse on them. And all 3 of them died mysteriously. So a lot of history, a lot of mystery, a lot of weird stuff up there in
history and mystery,
Canyon.
Baby. I love it all.
And there's a place up there called the Witch's Circle too. It's a strange place. We had a lot of fun up there today.
Oh, interesting. Definitely interesting.
I got to look up this Choking Cherries thing, chat. Have you ever heard of this?
I think it's a
little
tree.
Halloween.
To be honest with you, I have to see what a choke cherry is.
Well, while he's looking that up, Michael Chiana, you were on with us last Sunday with your wonderful friends.
That's right.
And we had a great time. I messed up the EVPs. I apologize. I think I have all the kinks knocked out tonight. So we have brought Donny Cho back to listen to these EVPs. And Steve's never heard him. Have you, Steve?
No.
I don't think he has.
No.
But
No,
Steve
not
is
this
always talking you up, Michael, and saying
thank
what
you.
wonderful.
Absolute best and clearest EVPs I've ever heard come from this man.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
I think it's you. I told everybody last week, I think you could take a Fisher Price kids tape recorder and probably go get EVPs with it. I think it's you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm just recently doing a really serious case that good friends of mine, the husband had killed himself back in May, and I've been helping the family deal with a lot of things, and I actually went in and recorded with the family, and we actually did record 7 EVPs from the husband. And so it's been pretty crazy summer dealing with this, but very clear things, and yeah, totally different side of our business and our world.
Yeah, that's got to be rough. Having to
It is.
provide emotional support and come up with answers, and
Yeah,
having to balance all that as well.
I mean, multifaceted. There.
Yes. Yes.
With all that.
Multifaceted. That's me.
And I just went in, and I'm not very versed in sage, smudging and sage, but I did go in and help them with that just to see, because there's a 15-year-old daughter involved as well. And I just wanted to see if it could bring any kind of relief, and it actually did. So now I'm moving further into a shaman healer to come in as well. And so really just trying
that
to give them
smudging works. I smudge my house here.
Yeah.
I carry sage and sea salt with me when I travel. I stay in a hotel room, Airbnb, whatever. It gets saged, smudged, salt in the corners. We'll open the door. Whatever's in there has to leave.
Yes.
Ain't got time for that.
That's mine.
Too many attachments. Yeah.
Michael, I will make you, if you have any feathers that you've collected or put up over the years or look around. Well, now that I'm mentioning it, I want you to, in your travels, look around, and if you start noticing them, they'll start showing up. But if you want to, I will make you a smudge fan.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
That way it'll be gifted. It'll be handmade with you in mind, and we'll put some maybe gemstones in it for your personal stuff. But
I would love that.
Oh gosh, it would be great.
Yeah.
But anytime you want to get with me on smudging and how to incorporate the owner of the property or the person that's in the dwelling or whatever, and incorporate their stuff into it and kind of pass it on too, because the thing is if we basically go, Donny, I think got smudged for the first time in Gettysburg, didn't you, Donny?
You smudged me, actually. I had to put my arms down, everything.
Yeah, that was like the first time though, right?
Yeah.
That you were actually. Okay.
Yeah. It really does help. I mean, I've seen some good results from some other cases I was involved in. But, it's thousands of years old, and why not go with tradition? And it's about energy and balance. So
it's your intent behind it as well.
Yes.
It's being one with it and one with whoever's on the property and whoever needs the protection. And if they can join in, that's even better. You can get the most important thing is to thank your source. We say to the creator who created us and created the herb, and then we thank the herb for giving it up. Because it's got the properties, and it's just It's just like talking to plants. People say that doesn't work. That's crazy. Really? There's been a lot of studies that prove otherwise. I beg to differ.
Oh, yeah.
But
can you make a smudge fan out of any bird feather, or does it have to be a specific bird feather?
To tell you the truth, it'd be for whatever's for you. If it's with you and your medicine or your characteristics. So in my case, you want to see mine? I'll show you mine.
Okay.
Wait a second. This is from when I was, we basically call it being smoked. But when I was told what I was cleared, basically is the short version of it, cleared to wear, it was because I had buzzard characteristics, buzzard medicine, basically the corvid family. So it's like seagulls and vultures and eagles and these type of predator birds. The reason being, and at first everybody would go, ew, that's out of all the animals, you would get buzzard. No, no, no,
You old
no.
buzzard, you.
Yeah, I'm an old buzzard. I'm fine with that. You'll be old broad, old buzzard. Just don't call me late for dinner.
There you
But
go.
so when I'm listening to this, you're just very calm and you're listening to the elders tell you. And the reason I got cleared for it was actually a very complimentary reason. It was because they take a negative and turn it to a positive. That's their medicine. They take garbage and turn it to sustenance and to a positive energy. And I went, whoa, that's so cool. So I actually, there was a buzzard, unfortunately, died, a huge turkey buzzard. And I had to clean it myself and carve it up and use every piece of it and all that just to basically honor him giving his life for this. And then I made several people fans, and this is the one I made. It also has
got a red-tailed hawk fan that I'm working on. There's a red-tailed hawk here that comes by and snatches the mourning doves out of the yard sometimes. And occasionally he loses a feather. I've got 3. I need about 3 or 4 more to make a nice fan.
Wrap them up and pleat it. If you want me to make it for you, just wrap them up and send me, if you've got beads or gemstone that
put
means
them in
something
that box I owe you and send it.
I'll make it for you.
Sitting in my room.
I'll put blessings in it, and each time I tie a knot in it, I'll say a separate prayer for you specifically, and that's what I do. So people say when I make, I'm an artisan and I do wire sculpting, and I make like gypsy, bohemian dream catchers and all this stuff, but I don't sell native stuff because I think that needs to be made specifically for someone and gifted to them. That way it has so much more positive energy in it. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think it's cool. It's cool as hell.
If it's made for you and custom tailored to you. There's a Navajo shaman here in town that has a little shop. His last name is Benali, which doesn't sound Navajo, but it is. A place called Benali's Hogan. And you go in there and he will specifically make stuff tailored for you. It's pretty incredible.
I think smudging and saging is a personal thing, and you have to create what's best for you. And the family.
And like I said, if you could add whoever's in that family to it, and then also give it to them, it's like teach a man to fish. Give him a fish, fry him a fish. I forget it. Steve, you know that one. If you give him a fish,
give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eat for a lifetime. Teach him to cook fish and get a job at McDonald's.
Put a fish in somebody's car you're trying to get back at, and leave you alone forever.
Behind the heater.
You remember that old thing?
Also works well behind the electrical outlet plates if you're moving out of a house under duress. Sardines. Put sardines in the heater vents in the car.
Oh gosh, just going by, if you get you a capsule of deer scent, don't bust it on you. I'm telling you right now, be careful. Pop it in a window, that deer scent. Oh my god.
So you said the feather depends on the individual. So how does the individual figure out which feather that they should use?
I'm sorry, I never answered you. I can't tell you that, Donny. I would say my suggestion would be whatever you're drawn to. I would say if you feel like something is picking you, that you're going by and you find a feather, that's fine. If you're drawn to, say, turkey feathers, find someone you can get those from. I wouldn't buy them over the internet, but if you have to, you have to. And also be careful because there's a lot of feathers that are illegal in some states. Like you know, don't go buying eagle feathers and stuff like that. But if you find a kinship with one, most of them are turkey because everybody thinks eagle feathers got used for everything. That's a misnomer because they're not as sturdy as a turkey feather. Turkey feathers are more prevalent and held up better. So a lot of that stuff is, and I'm no expert. There's many different.
And even with this property that I'm dealing with, it's a 20-acre plantation. And a lot of turkey feathers around. So we're definitely going to incorporate that,
Gather those and send whatever you want. I'll make one for the homeowner. You said there was a young girl there?
Yeah, 15-year-old daughter.
I mean, if it's okay with, the family and everything, I mean, teach her. It's such an inexpensive thing, sage. And if you can grow it yourself in a place you can grow it and make your own, that's even better.
They even have it growing on their front porch.
There you go.
So they can incorporate. But I did go. Believe it or not, I found a sage and smudge store the next town over from me here in North Carolina, which is very rare to find this. And I was able to buy some really good sages and different things for them. So
outstanding.
It's helping
Meant
them
to be.
because this daughter actually found her father, and she's 15 years old, and she found him in the office. And so on top of everything else, it's very traumatic, but they're super strong. I mean, I've never met two individuals that are so strong to be able to deal with this in such a short amount of time since May. And I think, and I'm helping them to balance things, and versus them sending the daughter to therapists and things like that, which I don't really feel that's going to get a lot of results.
Do you think she has abilities, Mike?
Oh, you read my mind. She does have abilities.
Well, there it is.
So
let's, if it's okay with her, she can look at a couple of different people. I can send her in, 5 different directions, all of them good, but would be picked on her, whatever she feels the draw to. Very just people that guide her the right way, teach her how to control it, because a lot of times it's them. A lot of the ruckus going on, it's actually them, and they don't realize it. So that's crazy. Possible.
Yeah. Well, what's really insane about this is, as of yesterday, I got an email in the morning from somebody, and he introduced himself. He's a very good friend of a very close friend of mine, Eddie. That you know Eddie, Eddie Howell. And,
yes, I love Eddie.
He just introduced me to himself, and he said, "I'm a shaman healer." And he introduced himself and offered me his services. And so I said, this is weird. I said, I just did this smudging on Friday, and this person has contacted me. So I talked to him for about 30 minutes. And then I said to him, after he really was very passionate and he was saying the right things that I've heard from other very good shamans in the past, I mentioned about the family, but I also said, has Eddie talked to you recently? Or referred me? He goes, I haven't seen Eddie in a year. He goes, last year he referred that I should hook up with you and check out your new show and just get in contact with you. And this man contacted me. He said, for some reason, yesterday morning, I felt I needed to reach out to you. And it was amazing because I just smudged, and I'm doing this all alone. And, I'm a very good paranormal investigator, but this is not my forte. But I have learned a lot, and so I figured I'm going to try it and help whatever way I can. And this man stepped into my life, and I talked to him today for about 30 minutes. He lives in the same town as this family. Now, how crazy is that?
What? Chat, man, when this stuff starts flowing, it starts flowing. And I mean, it just keeps going. That's why I'm saying, think about the feathers. They'll come. If you're drawn to one, get it. But Mike, you mentioned, I missed part of the story because I had to run in, go shut something off. Sure. But you said there was Native American spirits involved here, or the family was Native American, or they were there?
No, well, the property is the home is from 1817, so and it's an old plantation property. So you can imagine how many spirits are there. I investigated the home 7 years ago before they moved in, just to see what was there and to make sure they were afraid that maybe something evil was there or this or that. So I went and investigated 7 years ago and captured a few spirits that were very pleasant and nothing negative. So we decided never to tell the children. They were young at the time. And we said, we're just not going to say anything. And we never did. And then up to speed here this year, May, the father committed suicide there. And so it's just insane. I mean, it doesn't make any sense why he did it. He was a financial person. That was his background, business-wise. And I'm trying to help her through that as far as to see if we can figure out what happened to him and why he did this. I mean, he did it in the house while the daughter and the wife were there. So it's just crazy.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so.
And I've known this man for about 7 years. I've done professional work for them as far as the plumbing industry. I've done work on their home. Plus, then I went in to do the investigating. Several years ago. So I've known them a long time, and yeah, he really pulled the rug out from all of us because this is not something we expected him to do. And so I think it's something internal. I think it's something throughout his life that it was building and building.
He didn't have any complaints before. He didn't have any complaints before about anything, you know, like he was bothered by stuff in the house or anything.
No,
nothing that you know of.
He was hiding. No, I've had long talks with her. I'm still talking with her. She's sharing a lot with me, but we're just trying to figure out what went wrong. He did get COVID. I don't think that COVID really did affect him, but you never know. I just think maybe it was the last straw on top of everything else that maybe was in his life.
Yeah.
Don't know. But,
we can never know. All you can do is help that family. And if you can give them some tools to work with, to empower themselves, I think that's the best thing. Also,
that's what I'm doing.
You know, I know you will. Make sure that they open a window. That's the number one thing with staging as well, is you're moving everything out from one corner to the other. And, you know, have them say, you know, all negative must leave, only positive can remain, kind of
exactly what we did.
Yep. And tell her to stomp her foot. I always tell them to stomp their foot, because by the third time you do that, you really start to feel it, and you're saying it like you feel it, if you know what I mean. Well, so maybe that'll help. Anything I can do, I'm here.
Oh, I appreciate it. From any of you, I really appreciate it. It's always good to share this, and that's why I brought it up to you tonight, because I just know that you're so knowledgeable. You, Steve, even Donny. You know, everybody can help and give different thoughts and advice. So, but
especially for the young girl to reach out and get some answers for herself. That's a lot to move through for an adult, especially 13. I've been there. So, you know, as a 12-year-old, I went through that. So similar. Not the same.
I told her when I sat down to talk to them the other day, I just told them, I said, you two are the strongest people that I've ever met. To deal with this so recently, and to not be a puddle on the floor, or you couldn't even have a conversation with anybody because you were so distraught. So they're doing good. They're doing good, but they've got a lot of questions. So it's nice to be able to help them. I always like to use the paranormal as a balancer, you know, and I've done that with a lot of families. And I don't talk about it. I don't tell people what I do. I just go in and do it. And so now we were at our last straw where the girl was very distraught still and depressed. And I said, you know, let's try this sage, you know, and the mother was very happy to try it. And I did see a good result. It's just a beginning. I mean, we're just starting. So
and let them know too that it's a maintenance thing. It's not a one and done. It's like when you feel it, do it. When you feel it, do it. And it helps ground you as well. And that might really help her start to ground. Ask her if she's drawn to any crystals, if she's open to that kind of thing, because sometimes holding something like that just really makes all the difference, you know. And I couldn't even dream to tell her what that might be. I mean, rose quartz comes to mind, amethyst off the top of my head. They're both ward off negativity, and you know, rose quartz is love and amethyst is protection, positive protection. It helps you ground with your own divine light, if you so to speak. You know? I
actually went and bought her a rose bracelet, just to give her, you know, to start her on the path with that too. With the
how cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
we're on the same path, my friend.
Yeah. It's all about helping. Gotta help them.
Awesome.
You know?
Do you guys have any suggestions? I mean, I'd like to hear more about the case, you know, off air, because I know right now it's probably extremely personal. But and see if I get any energy one way or another from something that might be able to help. What do you guys, Steve? Your suggestions on the whole thing. I know you're a big believer in anything ritualistic like that makes you feel positive.
Path.
Yeah,
it's on the right path, and then make it as personal to the people involved as you can. That'll intervene for you.
Yep. How about you, Donny?
I think definitely working out the issues, right? Because if there are any unresolved issues that linger, that could definitely feed into whatever negativity might be at that location. So, you know, I think was it on Dead Files? Like Amy Allen's like often suggesting people get like psychotherapy, like real psychotherapy as a family, and really get a chance to really express and communicate and get it all out there. Like you really got to resolve those issues because that is important.
Yeah, they're both they're all in therapy, but they're not getting good results from it because I've led them down the spiritual way to bring that more into their life, and they knew about this years ago when I was investigating their home, and they know this, so they're not getting a lot out of the therapist.
If you could also, something popped into my head. I remember when I was going through, like I said, similar. Tell her or tell them to write stuff down. Nobody else has to see it. But when you do a physical thing from your mind through your hand and onto paper, and you see the writing, and I would write letters to my mom or whoever, and then I would take them out and just throw them in the in the fire and just set it on fire and let it go and let the smoke carry it up. That's very native, but it's also you're outpouring that. It's just between you and them, and I'll tell you, the other side, they hear it, they see it, and I've heard years later one come back and said, I was there, I heard you then, and it's that confirmation is huge, but it really does help anybody that feels that. Write it down. I think that's what journaling kind of came from back in the day, that historical journaling, when it meant so much. Look at all the Civil War, even soldiers finding ways to write things down in that horror. And of course, all the young ladies at home did the same thing. So it's a powerful thing. I know Steve and I have talked about that a couple times, about that kind of expression of writing something down like that, whether it be a journal or whatever. It's kind of a lost art, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, and that's where spells come from. When you're writing something out, or even creating a symbol or a sigil, you're making something and putting it out there.
Yep. There you go.
What I did as an extra step, me being the gear guy and audio guy, as we were saging, I let the daughter do it because I wanted her to be totally involved and let her. And I told her what we needed to do and express our wishes and things like that. I ran audio at the same time as we were smudging, and I actually did get a male voice talking to us in her bedroom, where she was saying that there was somebody in the corner at nighttime bothering her. And the wild thing was, just as we were saging, the man said, "We got to get out of here. This is going to hurt."
Oh my gosh.
He was talking about the sage or the smudging. And it blew me away because, first of all, she's definitely sensitive. She can definitely pick up on things.
This is I'm telling you, this is the whole, she's the core. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I told her that I think she's very sensitive. But I got about 3 or 4 recordings in that 30 minutes.
Wow.
As we walk through the whole house, and we're not going to share anything with her right now because we just want her to focus on positive. And
somebody's got an invasion. What was that? Are you getting bombed, Steve? You all right?
Cisco, real quick.
Yeah, honey.
I just wanted to shout out Brandon Roberts. He's logging in through Facebook. He's trying to say hi to everyone, but I don't think anyone on the YouTube side can see him.
Hi, Brandon Roberts. Pop over here and
Brandon
YouTube
Roberts,
if you can.
Hello. They're not ignoring you. I don't think they can see you, but
I can't see you, honey. I don't get the.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Is it on the face? He's on the Facebook. How do you do that, Steve? You Facebook user, you click that and you can pop over and we can see him.
There's a way that you can connect them. I've never been able to get it to work on my
Thank you, Donny.
either. So.
Right. But there's a thing there, if you look, Brandon, and it says that you give Facebook permission to share your name with StreamYard, and you'll pop up over here too, and we'll be able to see it. Thank you for that, Donny. I appreciate that. So, wow, that's amazing with EVPs. And Steve's always been right. Every time he says about you have the greatest EVPs.
Thank you.
So, since we're talking about that, do you want to play the ones from Hoover House?
Yeah.
So, Donny can hear them. Donny, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Sounds good. I hope this time it works out. Let's see how it goes. I some of them I repeated a couple of times. So if you
Right.
did it, you got instead 3, you get 6. And I also took the last one and upped the volume. And in one case, I slowed it down just a titch because they speak so fast sometimes on a different
Yes.
frequency.
And I do
it
that
kind
too.
of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of helped out a little bit. So let me see if I can pull this up.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. All right, Donnie, here we go.
Here they have some women for sale. Is that true? Do you look after the women? We hear they have some women for sale. Is that true? Do you look after the women?
I'm hearing like a
Yes.
Is that what you're hearing? Is that what you're getting, Donnie?
I think I might have to listen to that one more time.
Sure, honey.
Yeah,
I'll start it
It's a
again.
very quiet one. That's a very quiet one.
It's also at the very end is where I'm pegging it. And it sounds like
Yes.
Is that what you guys are hearing?
Yeah,
And
that's
Edna,
it.
yep. Okay. Here we go. One more time.
We hear they have some women for sale. Is that true? Do you look after the women?
Yep.
Right there. Mm-hmm.
We hear they have some women for sale. Is that true? Do you look after the women?
Yep. Now that one was in the
That was in
basement?
the Hoover. Yeah, in the basement of the Hoover house that used to be the old speakeasy, and that's why we were talking about women. And and
where I got
that was
choked.
a very quiet one. Right. That's right. Where you got choked. That's right.
Yep. Right in front of Michael. And I'll tell you what, folks, when you're paranormal investigating, everybody looks at me, Brandon, everybody's looking at me, and I'm just holding up my hand. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay, because it was so weird to describe. I couldn't talk, but it was like, it was weird because I couldn't stop it from, it was on the inside, not the outside. I didn't feel hands around my throat. I felt something inside doing this. I was like, oh, it was so weird. But Michael looks at me. He just, okay. He's sitting here just watching me. And, it's a strange thing to be. It's a wonderful thing. And also a little strange to be with seasoned investigators. And you kind of allow things to happen so you can see them through. Instead of like all this screaming and yelling, even on, like some of some of the paranormal shows,
Well, you have to be super quiet when something is happening. That's so important. So many people, the first thing out of the mouth is, "Did you hear that? What was that?" I mean, that's, to me, unprofessional. It's not professional. Shut up, be quiet. Let them, they're reacting. It takes a lot of energy for a spirit to react.
Let her, basically, guys, let her be choked. Let's see where this is going to take us.
That's right. You were the bait.
And I was all for it. And you wonder what you do in a situation like that. Well, that's what you do. And it was just, a little surprised that I wasn't more worried, but she was
very calm.
She was talking to me at the same time in my head, telepathically. I'm not hearing her out here going in. It's in my head. I'll show you what happened when I trusted. This is what I saw. And now I'm seeing and feeling what she was feeling and seeing, looking at this guy. First, it's like disappointment and shock and so many different things she went through so fast. That's what she was showing me while I'm looking at you going, it's okay, and I'm just so glad that everybody let that fall through, go through, because I think it really, they really got helped, because that's when Jim was picking up that she was basically here to help the guy who did this to her.
Yeah.
What a wild, just as soon as you think you've got the spirit world figured out, hold your, they say, hold my beer. But that's amazing. Now, Donnie, you heard that one? Mm-hmm. And Steve, I don't know if you got to catch it.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yep. I was off camera, but I heard it.
But you heard it. All right, here's the next one. And it sounded a little bit that had like, yeah, that's me. That's what I did. Yep. It was kind of, it had a little feeling on it,
Yeah, that was a quiet one, but it was definitely there.
Okay, this is third floor. Did you get that one? You want me to run it back? I slowed that last one down because I heard two different things. So I didn't know where it was. I'm going to start it again. Should start right about there. Here we go. Now on that one, I'm hearing in the beginning and at the very end, I'm hearing something and I couldn't make out the end part, but it doesn't sound like whose ever voice was saying.
I heard a voice, but I couldn't make out what it was saying.
So when I captured this last year at the Hoover, I thought it said something totally different. And then right before I was sending this to you, I played it and I said, oh my God, it's saying, I asked what their name was, and it's saying, I'm Clayton. I'm Clayton. Yep.
I heard Clayton too.
Clayton. And he's saying that that's his name, Clayton, which I heard it crystal clear right before I sent it to you. So I do believe that he was answering my question.
Now, did you know a Clayton? Is there one that...
Don't know if there's a Clayton that's connected to the Hoover House, but Clayton is a big name here in North Carolina. And also there's a town, one town over from me called Clayton. So when I heard it, I was like, oh my God, that's crystal clear. I'm Clayton.
How about you, Steve?
I couldn't really tell what. I could hear the I'm part, but I couldn't make out the rest of it.
Yep.
All right, one more time for everybody. Yeah. Did you guys hear it? Okay, here we go. Yep. Yep, I'm hearing it. Now, did you hear it that time, Donny?
I heard it that time. See, I listened in the wrong spot. I was listening towards the end.
Yeah. I heard something on the end part, but I couldn't tell you what it was. It was almost like a hiss or a whisper. That's why I made it so slow and loud at the end. Yeah. Because I can see that it's there, in the audio wave, but I can't make out what it is. So did you get that too? Yep, I'm Clayton. I'm fearless is what I hear. Oh, wow. Is that the rest of it, Aunt Edna? Because I heard a little something behind that too. Aunt Edna says this. Did you guys get this? Right there. Can you see that? I'm fearless. And somebody else, Nicole's getting Clayton, and Sapphire Elf is getting the two of us. That's so wild. Either way, like you say, Mike, you got a response.
That's right. That's the most important thing.
That's the most important thing. Now, this one, I believe it's going to say how you had it marked without the word. So I think this is in the parlor, obviously.
I'm not sure that. See, 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 I'm not sure that.
That one is that sing-songy.
Yeah. That one is, that's from the second floor bedroom. Okay. And we had just walked in there, and Brandon stepped in and he goes, oh, I don't like this room. There's something in here. And then the fellow Bob, who was showing us around, he was just giving us some direction. And with that, I got this lady singing, and she's saying, I'm feeling used, but she's singing it. So listen again, see if you hear that.
Yeah. Let me see if I bring it back just a second. Okay, here we go again.
See, I'm not sure that. See, I'm not sure that. See, I'm not sure that. See, I'm not sure that.
It's definitely something there. I just can't make that one out, but it's definitely something.
I don't think that was a female voice. I think that was a male voice in falsetto.
Maybe.
Could be
possible. Yeah.
Could be
Anything's possible. But it was definitely a singing voice, which was interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Edna's saying, "Yep, being used." Boy, she's got her ears on tonight, doesn't she? Yes, being used. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
You know, it was a speakeasy with lots of women for hire up in that place. I mean, and it was a nursing home, and of course,
many things.
And a home, and a restaurant, and
right.
you know,
yeah.
And again, all the people that are drawn there, it's hard to say. You know, absolutely. Yeah. All right, here's the next one, guys. This one I think is also in the parlor. That's clear as day to me.
Yeah.
Donnie, you getting it? Steve?
Can I say what I heard?
Sure.
I heard him. I thought it said, "You're a bitch."
You're a bitch?
Yeah. Was that what I
thought I heard? No face.
I'm hearing, I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed. And I'll run it back again.
Yeah.
And it's also in an answer to the question, but you don't get the answer. I mean, you don't get the question. And there was a lot going on there, too, with a conversation. But here it is again. Let's see if I can get it. Yep, right about there. This is better this time. I can see the words. Yep, there you go. Now you want to tell a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. This is a really crazy EVP because that actually was my friend who passed away in 2009. He was from North Carolina. That's where I met him. He was an investigator, and he passed away while he was visiting his family in Pennsylvania. And he died in 2009, and this was 2021. And for years, I tried to contact him, never got him. I show up at the Hoover House, and I actually went upstairs to do some recording. Everybody was doing the table tipping downstairs. That wasn't my thing. I just kind of said, "Is it okay if I go upstairs and do some recording?" Jim said, "Oh, yeah, please do whatever you like." About 5 minutes later, he came up, and he said, "Mike, you got to come downstairs. There's somebody that wants to talk to you." And I was like, who wants to talk to me, you know? So I went downstairs. I sat down at the table. We did the tipping. And as we first started, this lady to my left, I didn't know her. She was from Utah or somewhere. And she was very sensitive. And she said, "This man that's here is like a giant. He's like a lumberjack. Do you know anybody that's really big like that?" And then I thought about it, and I said, yeah, my friend Chad. And I hadn't thought about him in a few years. And they started describing him. And I was just basically playing along. I was like, yeah, I'll just be cordial. And I did ask him as we got started, "Is it okay if I put my recorder over to the side?" And they said, "Oh, please do." I did. When we got done with the session, I told everybody what had happened to him. He went to visit his family. He took a nap on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, and he never woke up. And he left behind a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. And just as I said that, everybody in the room went, "Oh, my God." And then it got quiet. And that's where Chad popped right in and said, "I'm pissed."
Yep.
And it's about the whole situation because he really did. He died at 36. I mean, he died so young. And for him to show up at the Hoover House blew me away because I, in a million years, would have never expected that. Yeah. And it is definitely him. Definitely Chad.
Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, I was sitting at the table, guys. I know we've told you this story before, but each time we kind of remember, something different. But when I was there when they were calling you to the table and you sat down, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me and you're like, I don't know, man, this is crazy.
Into this stuff.
I know. And it was just you're oozing that. And I'm smiling because I can feel this strong energy. Like, I got you now. I got you now. We're going to do this. I'm getting this kind of, and it was such a great energy.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this because not only was he a strong energy and kind of trying to anger his way through a lot of stuff, he also has that kind of calm, went into this with some understanding.
Oh, yeah.
As far as paranormal. And it was, he was having some fun with you with the table and everything, how it kept moving towards you and pushing,
Oh, yeah.
You were practicing, like telepathically asking questions and saying them out loud. But he came through. I remember when he came through, I was getting flannel. And to me, I remember saying, did he wear a lot of flannel shirts? I didn't get the whole lumberjack thing and that whole, that's what they were picking up.
Oh, yeah.
But he had such a great energy. Yeah, that's what I got. Big, burly. I'm surprised. What I was actually picking up at first was that he was thinking about picking the table up and chucking it.
He might have. He could have.
And he was thinking that, but somewhere in there, he kind of got in that brother connection thing and it calmed him down. It was something. I could, the fact that you got on pissed, I could absolutely understand it. But I wanted to tell you that because he's not pissed all the time. He's trying to work through stuff.
He's pissed about the situation that I was explaining to everybody.
Right.
And it was, like I said, he was an amazing investigator. He was an audio guy, EVP specialist. I mean, that was his thing.
Wow.
And
he
to
got
get that
one.
on, I was totally caught off guard when I heard that, and it was so loud, and I knew it was him because he has a very unique, deep voice. And the wild thing was, it was the night before his anniversary of when he passed away in August. Yeah, and I had slipped my mind. Every year or so, I would always post a picture of him, and then for the last few years, I've been so busy that I just didn't bother, And he reminded me. So
he sure did. They have a way, and to be as just an EVP where you can actually recognize the voice as well.
Oh yeah,
is a trip. How about that one, Steve?
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah. Donnie, you heard it for sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely heard it. It's just my interpretation of it was very different. But
that's okay.
I definitely
heard
it. I was there. I mean,
that's right. I don't know. No,
you weren't there that night. That was the year before.
This is a year ago.
This was from a year ago.
Yes.
Oh, it wasn't that night where
it was
we were with Tone and Laura.
No, it was the first night I ever went to the Hoover House, and we weren't even gonna go. But Jim was so nice, and he invited us. He said, "We're only having a few people back," and I said, "You know what? This house looks beautiful." I said, "You know what? Shit, let's go." And me and Brandon went, and thank God we did because
it was so much happened that night.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that was the same night you got choked, Cisco?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And both my sons was there. My future daughter-in-law, Stacy, she was there.
That's right.
And I think it was you or Brandon actually got a picture of me when I was picking up on her.
Yeah.
From behind me, there is a shadow figure. I think it's the one that Pam caught. There's a small room behind me. And Mike Simpson was standing there for a while, and he had the cat toys, the little balls that when you touch them, they light up.
Yeah.
And he was placing them on the floor. And behind me, there's pipes in this back room. It's a small room off the back cellar. And you could see the pipes going across the top of the ceiling. And you can see them a little bit through the doorway. And it looks like there's an upside down half of a shadow man. You can see the arm holding onto the pipe and looking down right behind me. It's a trip. It's a trip. And it's very solid dark in the middle. And around the edges is kind of more see-through-y. It's amazing. And I had Brandon look at it, and he traced it out, and I didn't even tell him what I was looking at. It was a trip.
Yeah,
A lot happened in that cellar.
Yeah, it was a man manifesting, and it wasn't the night that I was there. It probably was another night, and he was coming up out of the concrete. You could see his whole upper body, his torso, his head, his arms, but then the bottom was like a vapor, and he
Like a
was
vapor.
coming. He was coming right out of the concrete, and Pam caught it
Yep.
in one shot, and I have a copy of it, and I'm actually going to put it in the Gettysburg episode, and I interviewed her. And it's an amazing photo. So
she showed us all the photo when we were visiting that first time.
Yeah, it's really good. And I swear, I think that guy behind me, upside down with the pipes, I think it's the same dude, because he seems to have this dark center, like Mike is describing, coming out of the floor. It was less, it was still materializing, and that's what he was doing when he was hanging upside down from those pipes, because all around the edge was like that. It was a trip. But so many things happen in this place.
Steve has to see that photo. That's a crazy photo.
Steve, you got to come. You stay with us at the Hoover House. We'll have a blast, honey.
Oh, yeah.
There's a bar right across the street. Has good bands. We'll have a blast.
That's right.
We can crawl across the street, Steve, if we had to.
Right
That's
across
how close
the street.
it is.
Are you talking about that bar across the street from the Hoover House where there's always like old people fighting?
Yeah. It's good. You sit on the porch and watch all that stuff. It's like watching wrestling, Donny.
Yeah, it's like a show.
Yeah, it's great.
It's the old timies.
Yep. It's good. It's good stuff. You sit there on the porch and drink your mint juleps or whatever your beverage of choice, and watch it.
Couples screaming at each other.
Yeah.
And the other guy who's like trying to hit on a girl comes out.
Oh, you have some good stories, Donny.
Yeah.
They're all like 70 years old. So
Donny sat on the porch a while. Donny said,
we were all sitting out there. Me, Dylan, Laura,
it's good stuff. That's fun. All right, here's yours, Donny. I think this is the one in the parlor.
Okay, this is a good one.
You had one or two that had hit Donny's name on it, so I'm not sure which one's which. But
one is the original with the question, and then the second one is a loop.
Okay, there we go. Cool. Well, I've got them both here. Here we go.
Are there other spirits here that would like to communicate with Donny? Are there other spirits here that would like to communicate with Donny?
I found a 7 inches square clear glass baking dish with an unusual primitive Pyrex logo.
What the hell is that?
I don't know, but it's going right over the EVP. It's not on my recording.
Is that you, Donny?
No.
Steve? Who is it? I hear some British guy. Hold on 1 second. Let me see what happened. Hold on. I'm going to shut all the microphones down. We'll see. I think it's coming through. It might be coming through Steve. Okay, I'm going to play it again. I swear, to me, it sounds like he's saying scrotum, but that's just me.
Communicate with Donny? Are there other spirits here that would like to communicate with Donny?
Turn all the mics back on there, and there you go. Now, oops, take that off. Take this one off. Nope, we're good. Okay. Now, did you hear that, Donny?
Yeah, I heard it, but I'm trying to think of it as if it's like a word in Korean.
Well, this is when you were asking the questions in Korean, and I was so interested to see what we could capture. And so Jim had asked if there was a message for you, and I hear sounds like a female and her name. I don't want to say. It almost sounds like Sonia, but I don't think it is Sonia.
No,
but it's definitely.
I think it was. To me, it sounded like either So Yun or
So
Hyun.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Sohyun could be a name. Sohyun could be a name too. A lot of Korean names are kind of like genderless, so it gets a little confusing. Actually,
is there
Sohyun is a girl's name.
Anybody
Now-
related to you with that name?
I don't have much on my mom's side of the family. I guess it turned out that my mom's side of the family was very religious, very Christian, and according to my spirit guide, my mother's grandmother was a shaman.
Oh, interesting.
And my mother's side of the family doesn't really like to talk about that stuff so much. For obvious reasons. So I don't know much about their history, their life story, or even their names.
I prefer scrotum.
Yeah, that's what Tess says.
I definitely hear a female voice. What do you hear, Steve?
It sounds like an older female or a female with a deeper voice, anyway. But that's so young. That's closest.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like English at first.
Yeah, maybe it could be So Young. What is So Young? Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah.
It's either So Young, So Hyun, or So Young.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That rang true when you said that, the very first one, Donny, when you said that. But I'll tell you, I'm getting something different, and I'll tell you what I got from the energy. And what I got from the energy that night was I wasn't getting his great-grandmother coming through, or great-great? Two greats?
Great-grandmother.
Great-grandmother. I wasn't getting, I got her energy, but I got her energy as what I call a bring-in. And to me, a bring-in would be, say, like what my mom would do. She's been through a couple of times, so she would bring in someone else who had a harder time getting through that path and gave her energy and pushed them forward. I felt this time Donnie's great-grandmother, the strong female energy was there, but she brought in her teacher, her mentor. And I felt like she was introducing that male energy to Donnie, almost like a spirit guide, because of this time in his life to help him through. And it's both of them. I don't know what you were feeling, Donnie, but the whole time I was at the table, that's what I was getting.
I found something here.
Okay.
So the problem is when you ask who it is, right? You said it could be either So Yun, So Hyun, or So Young, right? All three of those can actually be a name. So Hyun and So Young are actually a girl's name. But So Yun, while it can also be a name, it also has another meaning, a small group of people. So Yun in Korean means a small group of people.
Okay.
So they could be responding. It's just like that could fit as well, because the question was like, who's here, right? And
right.
And there was more than one. It was like, oh, there's a group of us.
And we had a small group of people. Yeah.
But again, it's hard to tell because I can't. Everything's predicated on the vowel, right? If the vowel is soul versus saw, it's a completely different meaning, and because it's hard to pinpoint the exact nature of the vowel of the EVP. It's hard to identify which word it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that voice, that energy matched the energy I was feeling that night. The energy off the voice, and I just think there's a lot more going on here. If you back up and you look at the whole, 40,000 foot view, of course she would push him forward. Of course, here, what I've learned about spirit guides is like I could fit in a thimble. You know what I mean? But I do know that we get them in times they interchange times of our life when we need their expertise. So you get one or two that are probably with you through lifetimes, and then you get these specialists throughout your life as you need them. And I was getting that whole feeling. It was like watching this whole thing go around when Donnie was talking, and he was talking Korean, and around that time he's speaking Korean and the table is answering in a table, and I'm getting it in English. And then I asked a question in English and it answered me. Remember that, Donnie?
Yeah.
That's when that whole thing was going down. So you put all that together It could be a small group of people there to help you through this next journey phase. Or he could have been saying, a small group of us are here. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it was very interesting to be able to record while you were speaking Korean, because I've never experienced that before with a different language, and it was great. And I listened very hard to see if we captured anything, and the only thing we got was when Jim had asked. So we will try that more in the future.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds great. And people often ask that too. It's like if you go somewhere and you get an EVP and you're in France and it comes back in English, you go, why are they answering in English? Well, because that's what you're speaking. And I think even earthbound spirits have the ability to understand in both languages, depending on where their head is. You got to think not everything fits in a box. So I think that some of them that are like extremely agitated and aren't paying attention to anything, they're going to get in whatever they're speaking. But if you've got somebody there who can communicate and understand you back and forth, you've got that flow. I think they can answer in both languages and probably understand any. Especially those that have crossed. Absolutely.
When I was in London and I did some investigating there, I got some really great EVPs with a British accent. So that was great. That was something different that I hadn't recorded before. And it was actually in under a basement jail cell. And the response was a woman, and she had such a thick British accent. It was great.
Yeah. What do you think about that one, Steve? I mean, I don't know if you've done a lot with EVPs yourself.
Not really. I've picked up a few here and there. I've been on some podcasts, and I think that happened with you and I in Soraya one time, where there was a fourth voice in there talking, and we never could figure out who or where.
That often happens with us, Steve's pictures will fall off the table and off the wall, and TVs that go on and off. Remember that one time we were talking to History Goes Bump, Diane, the wonderful Diane, I believe her name is. Wonderful History Channel as well. And everything went dead in my house. The two laptops, my phone drained from 90 something to zero. Everything just went flat out gone. Remember that?
Yep.
It took a while to get everything back up again. I had to plug my phone in. I couldn't believe how fast my phone drained. And that was a trip. And I think we were talking about haunted Asbury Park at the time or something.
I think so.
Something like that. The boardwalk, and moon wreckers and all that stuff. Had you ever heard of those, Mike?
No, I haven't. And I haven't done I'm from the New York, New Jersey area. And no, I haven't. I know Asbury Park, but never to investigate it like that. That's interesting.
Oh,
I feel Atlantic City is very haunted.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I do, especially with all the old hotels and people. I want to at some point do that, to go back and talk to staff members of people that work in these older places and see what they've experienced.
It's such a weird, deep history here. You figure anything coastal is going to have that. So if people look back at it was a great miniseries. I really liked it. It was called Boardwalk Empire.
Oh yeah, loved it.
It wasn't it good? And if you look back at the strange stuff that was going on in Atlantic City Boardwalk, I mean, they had one whole place that had incubators with babies in them, just for people to go by, because it was like a wild thing to see. And then all of this, like the Roaring 20s kind of stuff, gangster stuff going on, the gambling and everything else. But the people in the town, it was just so odd. Same stuff was going on in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, interesting.
And I'm sure all the way up. Look at all the stuff with all the immigrants and everything coming through Ellis Island up into New York. I mean, the whole thing is like that. But wreckers and moon chasers, Steve loves this story. They were like land pirates, right, Steve? I mean, they would do something to cause on dull nights. That's why they were moon cursors, because they cursed the moon because it gave light and the ships could see that they were up to no good, up to shenanigans. So what they would do is you heard everything from tying a lantern to a donkey's tail and having them walk up and down the coast, because they basically were trying to lure these ships into the jetties, into the rocks, so they would crash. The survivors would jump over, and whoever survived would swim to the shore, and there they would basically pillage them and steal their stuff, because they knew they put all their valuables in the hems of their clothes and their pockets and stuff. Of course they did, and then they would go into the wreckage and steal from there too. So basically land pirates. Now the funny thing is people along the coast of New Jersey, and I'm sure other places as well, have these drunk teenagers will go out and have bonfires or whatever and pass out on the beach and sleep there overnight on the blankets and stuff. I've never done anything like that ever. And they wake up in the middle of the night and their clothes are being ransacked, and they're being flipped over, and this ghost pirate thing is staring them in the face. Can you imagine what the breath of a 200 or 300-year-old pirate smells like? And for a brief second, they see this thing trying to, look through their pockets and stuff, and scares the living hell out of them. Of course, you know. And I had never heard that story before. I used to fall asleep on the beach and, under the boardwalk back in the day. But can you imagine that? So people are seeing ghosts of these things, and of course, sometimes the ghost ships of the wreckage and things like that. So that's a moon wrecker or a moon curser. Isn't that funny?
Interesting. Yeah. Alfred Hitchcock made a movie many, many years ago, one of his earlier movies, and it was all about it was called The Jamaica Inn. And I don't know if you remember that movie or not, but it's probably made in the 1920s, 1930s. And it was all about the pirates doing that with the lanterns and having the ships crash, and then they would pillage all the ships.
Really?
So
what was the name again?
Jamaica Inn. Yeah. Look it up if you get a chance. Yeah, it's great movie.
My goodness.
Yeah, check it out.
Well, there you go. So, there's that, and then you've got all of the other ships crashing at the Morro Castle, and Morro Castle was like the New Jersey's answer to like the Titanic. That landed. It coasted and landed right up against the pier, which happened to be where they had, all of the amusements getting started and everything else. So that was like the first big amusement. People came from all over. They had to build a whole nother highway and 2 circles for the traffic that came out of New York and Pennsylvania and everywhere else to come and see. And they lined the dead up there in the theater. So now you've got a haunted pier, a haunted theater, a haunted coast. The history just keeps going on and on. It's like, how far do you want to go back? It's incredible. It's incredible. Right, Steve? Everywhere you go, somebody was there before you. Something happened.
Absolutely.
It's like whether it's the mountains of Tennessee or, the coast or, in North Carolina. Or are you in North Carolina tonight, Donny? Or are you?
I think I'm about 10 miles away from Michael.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll have to give me a shout.
Well, I don't know. Actually, maybe more than that. I'm in Youngsville right now.
That's just north of me. Yeah. That's where that family is from. The one I was telling you about.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There's another synchronicity.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence that all this is coming back. It's almost like I'm feeling like a lot of things are coming together to try to help this family. But that happens, guys. When you reach out and you ask for help, that's giving your spirit guides, your angels, whatever you want to call them. I personally think we all have multiple of things. But you're giving those helpers permission to help you. And it comes from all angles, from, like different people that are receptive. Steve's receptive, Mike's receptive, I am. So many people in this chat are. Donny is definitely becoming that way. I've seen it happen over a short amount of time. And that's why I think that you're getting these things like your great grandmother coming through, her teacher coming through to try to help you and push you on, because everybody has abilities. And if you're awake to these things, like seeing angel numbers, I had just said to somebody yesterday, I think it was one of the gentlemen I had on last night. It might have been, or I was talking to somebody before the show. We're talking about angel numbers. And I said, the more you recognize it and say it out loud, I see you, or we're sending you love back, or whatever it may be that you say, just to acknowledge it, you'll see it more and more and more. 111, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, 11, and it might be another number for you. But the more you recognize it, the more it's going to happen. And that's what I feel is happening here. Everybody's reaching out, trying to get help, and they will absolutely get it. But they each have their own little journey too, and their own consciousness level that they're at. So I think they're in good hands with you, Mike. You know what I mean? The right intent, and everything else,
It's so funny that Donnie's in Youngsville. That blows my mind.
It's just another, it's like a little mile marker. You know what I mean? It's like you're on the right road. You see that mile marker, you go like, okay, at least I'm on the right path, or a marked trail in the woods, right, Steve?
Yep. Like a trailblaze where the Appalachian Trail, where they have those different blazes to tell you if you're on the trail, or this trail goes to water, or this trail goes to shelter. Same thing. If you know what to look for, it'll guide you right to it.
Yep. And the more you notice it, the more it's going to come. It's just like the feathers. I'll tell everybody to put that out in the universe and say, I want to get, send a bird or somebody else to gift me a feather, and see how many of you start to see them. It might be like on a path you walk to your car, or out from your office to your car, or something else. And
I've had them literally fall down out of the sky and land in front of me.
The other day I came out of work, and it's funny because I parked my car under all these pine trees, and it's sap season again. So all this sap hits my car. And I go and I take it like once every couple of weeks, and then I'll wash it, and you have to go through a bunch of stuff to get it all off, but it's crazy. So we had all of these seagulls. Now, everybody at my job feeds the animals outside. We feed the chipmunks, the blue jay. Everybody eats, which is, I kind of did that, but everybody joined in because it's such a nice thing to go out there and see the birds and the chipmunks and everybody eating together. So now we've got seagulls, and we've got this murder of crows. Now, it started out with like 2 or 3, but I think they're having a kind of a gang war or something. And we won't have it because everybody eats. So we're out there throwing bread and pizza, just everything out there. People bring their leftovers from the night before and bring it out here. So we got a lot of birds. All of these crows are up. They're all over my car, and all of the seagulls are up here all over where my boss's car is. And when I go to get my car to go home that night, all of these crow feathers, I must have had 5, 6 crow feathers stuck to the sap on my car.
Oh, wow.
Because they're up there flattering around and fighting with the seagulls, like I said, and they're all right over our cars. So I'm out there pulling these feathers up. They're all in the back, on the floor of my car in the back. But that's what I'm saying. It's really weird. It's like nature almost reaching out and connecting with us again, or maybe asking us to connect with it again, and I see so many people. There's a small little strip mall that I work in, so it's like the florist, and then a nail place, and then we've got a couple other places, and a big garage with a bunch of guys on the end. Everybody has started to join in to feeding all these animals in the back, and it's like it's starting to converge and come through. It's really odd, and everybody's getting a lot of good things from it, but so are the animals. So I think people are really waking up, and I'm seeing a lot more of this stuff, So if you're not seeing it, start it around you, right? I know most of the people in here are connect with nature and do that kind of thing. So it's just neat. There's something going on in the world where light is finding light, I believe. I think the darkness is gathering as well, but I see the light gatherers coming together in a lot of ways. I think this is really neat. It's been something else, man. But listen, we've got a little bit left to this. I'd like to go around and get a couple of ghost stories from you guys. So Michael, says you are a guest tonight, what was the number one Gotcha. I mean, I can imagine I'm pissed and that whole situation where he kind of found a way to show you that the table tipping really wasn't as, goofy as we thought. Because I went in with the same feeling. I was like, this is going to be crazy the first time I did it. But you quickly take to it. But other than that one, what was the one that really just sat down, made you think, or just really opened your eyes to the possibilities?
Oh my God, I have so many experiences. Probably as far as hearing things, I was doing a mansion. There's a beautiful mansion called the Mistletoe Villa. It's about 30 minutes north of Raleigh, and it was being renovated. It's a beautiful home from the late 1800s, and it had the ceilings were 15 feet high, and we were sitting in one of the parlors one night, and there's no pianos in the building whatsoever. Pretty much the house was empty, and all of us heard a piano playing, and it was a single note, and it just went 5 times, bing, bang, 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 5 times, and we all heard it. We captured it on recordings. It was amazing. It was a B sharp. I play piano, so it was a B sharp. Several months later, maybe, I don't know, 70 miles away in another town, I was investigating a home. Same thing, beautiful house, no piano. And the woman kept telling me that she heard music. So I asked the spirits, if you're here, can you play me some music? I play piano. And at that house, I captured 55 piano notes in a row. Wow. One note, bing, bang, 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 one note, 55 times. Turns out it's the same exact note as what I recorded in the other home several months earlier. It was a B sharp.
What?
Yeah.
What are the chances?
It blew me away as being a musician too.
Do you think that's somebody that's following you?
I don't know. It's something
that's odd.
Incredible. Well, first of all, the first one was 5 notes in the one home, and it was the B sharp. And then several months later, further away, 55 of the same note. So I don't think it's the same, but there's something very strange about that. And
was it like rhythmic, or was it kind of just hitting it over and over?
Well, the 55, it started out just individual notes, and it got to the point where it was almost, and I don't want to say demonic, but whoever was doing it was banging on that thing, and it just went bah, 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 like it went crazy. And towards the very end, like they said, "Oh, you want a note? I'll give you a note." And and you can physically count all the notes 55 times.
Wow. That's pretty weird.
Yeah, and that's and being a musician myself and playing piano, and it really did intrigue me. And I wanted to find somebody that was a sound engineer or owned a recording studio to listen to it. And I did find some guy contacted me, and he said he had a studio and that he was interested in the paranormal. I went there, I brought the recording with me, and then he chickened his way out of it, and he said, "Oh, I don't believe in that. There's no such thing. There's no way that's possible." And he wouldn't even listen to the recording. He wasted my time, basically. And he would not listen to the recordings. He was scared. And he said, it's physically impossible. I said, "Dude, you don't know anything about the paranormal." I said, "You really don't." And I left. And I never talked to him again. I'm like, here, I had a golden opportunity. He could have taken that thing. He could have done all different types of things in the studio with the recordings. And he bailed. He bailed on me. So
that's terrible. But people do get scared of what they don't understand, and the more that they look into it, it makes them look at other things that happened in their lives that they might not be able to explain, that maybe they've talked themselves out of. That couldn't have happened, and it really does scare people sometimes. And Steve, you and I have talked about the incredible ways that they find through these EVPs to let us know stuff, like music boxes playing in museums and stuff that doesn't have a music box in it, or hearing piano music, but there's no piano. These kind of things. I remember a couple of Halloweens ago, Steve, we were talking about the old TV shows and when they used to bring on, like, say, sightings or unsolved mysteries, and even going way back, or In Search of. And they'd have these experts on, or the local guy in Massachusetts or whoever, to go and talk to and ask questions. And one of them was Richard Sennett. Do you remember him? He's still going in Massachusetts right now. One of the OGs of the paranormal, and he's still going and still has all his wits about him. Fantastic. Wears top hat and goes on tours and stuff and takes people around. It's a terrific guy. So when I got to talk to this guy, it was like a blast from my past because I remember sitting cross-legged in front of the old Zenith, Steve. And your mom would say you're sitting too close to the TV, you're going to ruin your eyes. Steve and I both have glasses because we didn't listen. But I would watch Richard Sennett in the little corner as the paranormal expert. It said down at the bottom, the producers put what they want. And he got to tell a story. Now, this is a fantastic Halloween story. You know how, like, the local news around Halloween, will send out that cub reporter or whatever. You're going to go into this haunted house or the local whatever and go talk about the ghost. And the two anchors are sitting in the front. Well, Bill, it's Halloween. We have a haunted house here. That kind of garbage.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this reporter goes to this little museum. And it was a house that, of course, was a big house in the 1800s or whatever. And, they were all very prominent people. And they had everything in that place from a gentleman's club on through, even with the people still living there. That's how big this house was. So they told a little bit about the history. And before she went, this reporter got smart and went and saw Richard Sennett, who was the local paranormal expert guy, right? And she says, is there anything I should know before I go? Is there anything I should do or whatever? But she's still kind of playing around with it like it's a Halloween thing, right? So he tells her, take a recorder, a separate from when you're recording with your crew. And just before you go in, turn it on and leave it play the whole time. Leave it alone. Don't mess with it until you're done. And then have it checked out after. So she did. And one of the reasons he told her this is because they were picking up music box, tingly tune, no music box in the room, things like this. So she goes through and she does her little reporting and she goes back to the sound room. That's what reminded me of it, the guy with the sound room. She goes through all that. She goes, here, check this cassette tape out. So they do. And in that cassette tape, as clear as a bell, is this cracking kind of sound. Do you remember this now, Steve? Yeah. There's a cracking kind of sound, and they're trying to figure out what it is. This is how impressive these sounds can be. Like with the B flat was so distinct that he knew it was a B flat when he heard it. That's incredible. So that's what was going on with these cracking sounds. And one of the guys in the sound room says, that sounds like somebody's playing pool. So they take it. He goes, look, I got another guy. Let's go see. They take it and they do a little more advanced on us, right? And they said, that's definitely somebody's playing pool. But the sound is a little off because when regular pool balls click and they went down and recorded at a billiard store, the sound of the pool balls clicking. And it was just a little off. So one of the guys in the billiard store says, but hold on a minute. That sounds more crisp. Billiard balls back in the day were made out of a different material. And I can't remember all the materials now. It's an old story.
They were made out of ivory.
Thank you. So it made a different sound than what they're made of now. The reporter really does some reporting and some journalism and goes back and studies and says, well, that doesn't make any sense. This was a residential house. The residential house, as I stated, was big enough to have a gentleman's club in it. And in the gentleman's club, what do you think they got together and did? Billiards. And at the time, those balls were made of ivory. And when they tested the ivory balls, it matched up exactly to the sound on the tape that she got like 100 years later. And
Wow.
that's some EVP investigation right there. And
Wasn't
the ability.
wasn't that the Whaley House in San
Yes.
Diego? I think.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. I think it was. It was one of those. I lose the names on all these houses, but
And the weird thing about that house, it's not in its original location. It's been moved and restored, and yet they were still picking up sounds there from like 100 years prior.
Yep. And I think it was like a court that at one time it was used for like a little county courtroom and everything else.
And there's a hanging tree out behind where the original house was.
Yes. Yes. It was what a trip. But it was just so neat to hear Richardson, go through this whole thing and tell this story. I mean, because that's one of the most incredible, not just the ability of whatever that was, because we still don't know. We don't know if it was an echo in time or whatever call you stone tape theory or just a residual sound, a slip in time, or for some reason the ghost there, if there was ghosts, projected that sound as they were playing billiards or something of a time that they remembered. It's so many questions. Again, the more evidence you get, the more questions you get.
Oh yeah. Well, with the case of the 55 notes, I had a few investigators with me that night, and we had two recorders within a foot of each other, and the one recorder recorded everything, and the other recorder recorded nothing.
Incredible.
So yeah, that's incredible too. And then I had a recorder in the back room, and that actually, distant wise, you could hear it as well. I captured it on that recorder. So yeah, but that's one of my most intriguing things because 55 notes, like I said, it's crazy.
Ann Palmer says she's been in the Whaley House. She'd like to go back. What was that one? The Washington Inn, Steve? That had the pictures that would turn and the TV would go on and off and the bar and everybody just laughed. I can't remember. I think it's the Washington Inn.
It's the Martha Washington Inn in Abingdon, Virginia.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Have you?
I've had some experiences there too. That's a strange place.
That's about 45 minutes away from my little mountain house. Yeah, I'm in Mountain City.
Okay, I lived in Mountain City for about 3 years.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
I used to go to Abingdon very often.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were in Mountain City. That's so funny.
Yeah, I lived there for about 3 years and used to go up to trade for trade days and down to Damascus, Appalachian Trail.
It's a great area.
Trail days there. It's a nice place up there.
Oh, yeah. 167 Highway South. I'm right off of the main 167 there.
I lived on Depot Street, right there in Mountain City. If you
know so you're right in town.
Memorial Graveyard is up on the hill. I lived right beside that.
Oh yeah, I've done some investigating in the graveyard there.
Yep, I know some people that are buried there, and also used to go over into North Carolina and see the Brown Mountain Lights. That was not a very far trip.
I go there often. Yeah,
Roan Mountain. There's a fireball that they see up there. And I've got a friend in Mountain City that swears he can take me to a cave on Roan Mountain that has a spider as big as a house cat.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not sure I want to see that.
I don't want to see that. No.
Roan Mountain is beautiful. And even where I am, I'm on Stone Mountain, which is about 9 miles from Lake Watauga, which is huge.
Now, have you ever heard of a place there just outside Mountain City called the Jingling Hole?
No, I haven't heard that.
I've got a video about it on 13 Past Midnight. Check that out. It was
where
one side or the other during the Civil War would take prisoners of war, and there was like a shaft there, a natural shaft, and they had a piece of I think it was a railroad rail or an iron bar or something across that, and they would make them hang from that, and they would shoot at their hands or do things to them. And a lot of those guys were on horseback, and their spurs would jingle because they're kicking and trying to.
Oh, wow.
But to this day, if you go there, and I know where it is, but I've never been there at night, supposedly you can still hear the spurs jingling of the people that they tortured.
I'll have to look into that.
And go on 13 Past Midnight, look for the Jingling Hole. It's a fascinating story.
I sure will. Now, my little farm that's there, it's very active. Even before I bought it, I had taken some photos of the place, and I've captured some things. And I've had it since '06. So a lot of experiences there. And I just feel that, and it's almost at the very top of the mountain. So I do feel that the quartz and the granite and the stone definitely make that place, very active.
I'll tell you what, it looks like Ted Branson's got some stories in here too. I'll have to go
and
back
then
down over
you've
the
got
scat.
George Washington Jefferson National Forest right there. Jefferson National Forest, where I had Bigfoot encounter one time. Didn't see it, but I heard the yips and yows and the whoops and the tree knocks, and they were coming from different directions. And then something started throwing stones at me. I was in there like 2:00 in the morning with just a headlamp on. I didn't have a compass or a GPS or anything. I just like to wander around in the woods. And these little round, flat river rocks would come flying out of the woods and hit me. And it didn't hurt. The only reason I knew I was being hit, I'd hear them hit the ground. Pick them up, and they were warm to the touch, like they had just afforded or something. And I thought about that for a long time. I thought the Bigfoot was attacking me. But the more I've thought about it, I think they were warning me away from something. Because there's some big cats and bear and stuff up in there, too.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
all over.
Wander into an area that I didn't need to be in, and they were saying, go back, go back.
Yeah.
When I turned in a different direction, all that stopped.
Oh, yeah. The bear. I'm so glad I haven't seen any bear, but my neighbor has had experiences where the bears come and, they build these big wooden crates for the garbage pails to protect so they don't get it. And this thing came along and just swiped the side of this wooden frame and just like it was toilet paper and just ripped it in half, getting the garbage. And then they took the garbage from his property and dragged it over to my property and ripped it all apart.
Oh, wow.
And I got up there and I was like, who the hell threw garbage all over my property? And my neighbor's like, it was the bear. I'm like, oh, yeah, sure it was. And but it was.
And there's another place not too far from there called Cracker Neck or Cracker's Neck. Have you ever heard of that?
Cracker's
Neck. Cracker's Neck. And they had like some kind of
that's great
wrestling matches there, like back a long time ago, where people would meet, and if you could beat whoever the wrestler was, you could win some money. And there was there was a local big old mountain boy there. Those Mountain City boys grow big, some of them.
Oh yeah.
And the traveling wrestler, he broke the guy's neck.
Oh yeah.
Killed him. And then if you ever heard that Steve Earle song, Copperhead Road, that's a real place there in Johnson County.
So
I think they've changed the name of it now because people kept stealing the sign.
Yes.
But I've been up Copperhead Road, but I wouldn't go up there at night because there's some truth to that song.
Well, that is
around up there.
Copperhead Road is about 1 mile from my house.
Okay.
And,
wow.
And yes, and so people kept stealing the sign all the time. So they changed it to Copperhead Church Road, so that there's no point in stealing the sign anymore.
Right.
Because it doesn't, it's not about the song. So, but yeah, that's 2 minutes from me, and that's a big moonshine area.
Yeah.
And
among other things, I think they have some other illicit activities going on back up in those hollers.
All kinds of stuff. Oh yeah, all kinds of stuff.
Got a couple of jibs and a couple of skeets up there.
Yeah. Well, the other suicide case that I dealt with this past year was actually from Mountain City, and I had nothing, no intent in getting involved in this. I was actually at the local lumber yard, and I was getting some lumber. I was building a deck, and I got talking to one of the staff people there, and turns out that she mentioned that her husband had killed himself. And got talking to her more and more, and I actually went up there to where he had done it because they didn't know if he was murdered or he committed suicide. So I volunteered to go by myself, and I went up to the trailer where he had done it, and I set up my recordings, and I actually did record him. And the first thing I asked was, what's your wife's name? And he told me the wife's name, and that's how I knew that I was speaking to him. And I got a few different recordings. It was very sad. It had a lot to do with drugs, counterfeit money, guns. So yeah, Mountain City ain't a place to mess with.
And have you ever been to Philippi Cemetery?
No, I haven't been there.
That one, I got some weird pictures there during the daytime before. I've been in there at night and saw some
Oh yeah.
myths and things. But I was in there one day taking some pictures for a book cover, like an author photo, and there
Yeah.
were people like standing among the tombstones behind me. There was a looked like a male figure sitting on one tombstone, and then another looked like a female with her hands on her hips, like, "What are you doing here?" But there was
Yeah.
absolutely nobody there but the photographer and myself.
And what's the name of that cemetery?
Philippi.
Philippi. Okay, I'll check that out.
Check it out. It's
Yeah.
a strange place.
I'll definitely check it out. But yeah, that area very haunted, and I think because it's very private area, mountains, and just very peaceful. But there's a lot of stuff that is going on there.
There's a lot of skirmishes there during the Civil War, and then there was a lot of feuds that continued on after the war. Some of the ones that chose whatever side wasn't happy with their neighbors that chose the other side.
That's
and
right.
There was a lot of people killed long after the Civil War, but for wherever their sympathies lied while the war was going on.
That's true. Yeah, very interesting. It's a really interesting place. I don't know how somehow something led me there to buy this place, and it's been very interesting all these years.
It used to be the green bean capital of the world.
Really?
But they were trying all these different pesticides and things to help the green bean crops, and they started having a lot of strange cancers.
Interesting.
Green bean.
Monosano.
The more green beans.
Yep.
And then not too far from there, there's a place called Fiddler's Rock. Have you ever heard of that?
Right. Yes,
Guys
I have heard of that.
Sit on the rock, play fiddle, and charm the snakes. And then they found him bitten to death there one time. And since then, claim if you go there a certain time of night or year or whatever, you can hear fiddle music way up on the mountain. There's all kinds of stuff to get into up there.
It's amazing place.
Because when I lived there, there's not a lot to do. When I lived there, you had like a Harris Teeter and a Fred's discount shop, had a KFC, McDonald's, and Burger King, and that was it. If you needed anything, you had to go over into Boone, North Carolina, or go the other direction into Johnson City, Tennessee.
And you know what, Steve? There's still nothing there. They built a brand new KFC and a Taco Bell. Fred's went out. He finally went out, which was a great little store. There's 3 shopping centers in that town, and there's nothing there for the kids to do. So that's why a lot of them get into drugs and different things. But it is a peaceful place. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that go on. But yeah, it has not changed at all. Main Street is still empty.
I think they were about to, when I moved away from there, and it's been years ago, they were about to build a skateboard park there. I don't know if that happened or not, but that was going to be to give the kids something to do.
Yeah, they did over at that. Yes, they did over at that park over Fred something Park. I forget what his last name, but they did make But it's still a very cool place to raise a family and stuff. But like I said, there's not a lot there to do. You have to travel to Boone or somewhere. Boone has got everything. It's such a tourist place. It's only 30 minutes away, so. And then you have all the ski resorts.
College town, after the Appalachian State's there.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of places to get out and wander around. Damascus, Virginia. That's a cool place. Again, there's not much there, but there's a little store there that's like a supply place for people hiking the AT.
All the hikers.
Have some of the best hot deli food in there you'll ever eat. I used to drive down there and buy my lottery tickets. At that time, Tennessee didn't have a lottery, so drive down into Virginia and get lottery.
Yeah. Well, right where we all lived, that was called the 3 points because you had Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia actually touch each other. And so that was the 3 points. And that's kind of right where I live. And that.
In fact, to get there, I had to go up 81 into Virginia and then turn and come back down into Tennessee and take the back road in. Another place you want to check out is called the Bloody Third. If you've heard of that, that's when there was a Civil War battle there. It's just totally haunted. A lot of stuff up there.
Oh yeah. Well, if you know Abington, you know about the tavern, the famous tavern that's there. And
go upstairs and see where the bed. They have the chalk marks where the beds were during the Civil War.
Well, it's a restaurant now. It's been a restaurant for a long time, and but it's very active, and it's from the early 1700s. And George Washington was there, and everybody and their brother was there, but it is a really
had dinner there before, and I think it was the owner, the manager, who was took us and showed us where the beds were when it was like an infirmary, and then the same with the Martha Washington Inn. I think I think during the Civil War it was like a girls' school, private girls' school or something like that, and they actually kept bodies in the basement until spring, until the ground had thawed enough to bury them. So there's a lot of activity there. Plus, right across the street, you've got the Barter Theater.
Barter Theater,
it's haunted. I've never been in an older theater that didn't have at least one ghost. But a lot of the famous people that would come there to perform stayed at the Martha Washington, and they've been seen inside there.
Yes. And I've seen some concerts there. It's an amazing theater. And there actually is a tunnel that goes from the theater over to Martha Washington Inn. And so don't know what that was used for, but maybe in more snow weather or things like that. But amazing theater.
Yeah, this is a fun place. And they do a horse-drawn carriage tour there in Abingdon. That's a lot of fun too, if you ever get a chance to do that.
Right, yeah. And Abington is famous for the American Revolution, and there's so much there as far as haunted locations connected to the American Revolution.
And you're not too far from historic Jonesboro, Tennessee.
I've been to Jonesboro.
They want you to say historic Jonesboro. They're proud of that. That's where they have the International Storytelling Convention.
That's right.
I think that's coming up in October. Yeah. And I went there one time for that. And there's several haunted buildings there along the main street. One of them was a candy store or something, I think. Yes. And I got some amazing pictures of these mists in different places. It wasn't on my lens. It didn't have anything to do with my camera. And then by the time home, that was one of the old, bigger CF cards. Every image on there was gone. And I took it to a place to try to get it recovered. And the guy's like, I don't understand this. He said, it's never even been formatted. There's never been anything on here. And I probably have 250 pictures on there, all kinds of ghostly mists and stuff, and it just completely wiped it out.
Yeah. Jonesboro is the first town established in Tennessee, and so very historic.
A lot of stuff there. It's not too far to Franklin. You go to Franklin. And then at East Tennessee State University, there's some haunted stuff there. One of the dormitories is haunted, and there's a little National Guard tower there that they rappel down close to the track of the football field. Somebody hung themselves off of that, and that's a creepy place. And you may know where this is, but somewhere up there, and I think it's in Johnson City. I've been there. I can't remember where it was. But there's a person that's buried standing up. There's a little mound. It's in the cemetery. There's a little mound, and there's a concrete vault that the coffin's in, but it's standing on end, and there's an iron railing, so you can't get in there. And I've been there, but I've talked to all kinds of people. I've done internet search and stuff. I can't figure out where it was, but it's somewhere in that area. Have you ever heard of anything like that, or maybe?
I think I have heard of that, and it was supposedly that that person was supposed to stand guard and didn't, for some reason, didn't want to be put in as normally, and so don't know, but it was I definitely heard of it. It's definitely interesting.
But I've seen it, but despite all the internet searching, I can't figure out where it was. And that's been 20 years ago almost.
Yeah. We all need to have a road trip and go up there. I'm telling you, it's a great place. Yeah, everybody, just let's all go.
That trip to Brown Mountain. That's what was one of my favorite things to do, was drive over
Brown Mountain. Yeah, it's amazing.
Over a dozen times, and I saw the lights every single time I was there.
Yeah,
we need to get Steve out this way so we can all go to Hoover House, or all go and look at all the stuff.
I'd like to come back east and just go up the coast and Savannah and Charleston and a lot of stuff on the Outer Banks.
Road trip, shotgun.
If you travel up through the Outer Banks, you'll end up Cape May, New Jersey. It's haunted.
We need to get Steve to do the table tipping and see how that turns out.
Yeah,
you know?
that'd be
that would
fun.
be amazing.
It would be lovely if we could all go and just stay a couple of days there at Hoover House and go over to. We could hit Antietam. We could go to Harper's Valley. We could go to Gettysburg. We need to spend a week and just enjoy it out there. And then at night we could investigate and try to spend a couple of nights with the spirits that are there, because the more you spend, they use so much energy when they communicate, that it would be great to have a couple of nights to see if we can get a succession.
On
That would
my
be
mom's
amazing.
side of the family, they were part of the spiritualism movement in the early 1900s. They routinely held seances, did table tipping or tapping, things like that. My granny, self-styled gypsy witch. I don't know where the gypsy part came from, but she read coffee
We all
grounds,
got a little gypsy in us.
tea leaves, animal entrails. She told fortunes and made love charms.
I think you do, Donnie. I think you have more than you think, sweetheart. It's just that your gypsies in your past, they just wore different, different outfits. It's all the same. It's all the same. It really is. It's all the same. And I really think that, I know people think I'm crazy. I keep saying this. There's an obvious consciousness raising going on right now. I really feel it. There's just definitely so much energy going on. And I do think the light is gathering together. And I do think the dark is as well. But, that when that a pinpoint of light can extinguish all darkness, it's just, it's an amazing amount of power. And it's fun to watch spirits of our loved ones, like in your case, Donnie, in your case, Michael, and Steve and I have had experiences like this forever. It's like a crescendo.
The darkness,
crescendo.
No matter how strong it is, like you said, it's like flipping on a light switch. That darkness is gone. It doesn't fade or evaporate back. Although I have heard of that happening, where the darkness would slowly move out of the room. But usually, you turn on a light, that's the end of the darkness. So that's.
And I've heard that through many hearts and minds and thoughts of people, that all these wonderful people that we've all met with abilities and understanding in their way and their vantage point, and all of them seem to be coming together, a lot of them right here on the show, coming together and matching things and saying, yes, I call it this, but it's the same thing. Or I've been getting that too, and a lot more synchronicities, a lot more, like, whether angel numbers, feathers, whatever that thing may be, the song that comes on, connections like this, connections in the chat, connections with people. And it really seems like almost, I know it sounds crazy, but if you've ever read The Stand, with Stephen King, and a group of people had no idea why they were all drawn to do one thing, and they just followed what they were being called to, and it was light and dark.
The lady that sat out on the porch? Mayhaps it is, and
mayhap I am, mayhap I ain't. I tell you one thing for sure, I know there's rats in the corn. So that's for sure.
And if it'll kill the rats, it'll kill Tom. MOON. That spells moon.
That spells moon. It sure does. That was a hell of a story. But you know what? There's a lot of truth in it. And in a way, Cabin 22 has a little homage to that in it too, because everybody gathered, had no idea why they were gathering to one spot, just going on about their day, and boom, there they were, all in the same spot, right where they needed to be at the time. And I think that's a lot of that's going on now. People in the chat feel it. If you feel it, tell me you feel it. That there's something going on, and I think it's really neat. Yeah.
Show in particular, and then some of the other shows, there's like a movement, something happening in the audience. There is like a gathering of the tribes of like-minded people. Like there's some greater work going on here, almost an anointing or something that we're either walking in or walking into, because it's, just like through Missing Persons and Mysteries, all these people I've come across that have PTSD, that have chronic pain, that have fibromyalgia, that are insomniacs or whatever, they're drawn to that channel because they say my voice relaxes them. And that was, I don't even like the way I sound, but God help them if my voice can ease your pain or put you to sleep, then right on.
So be it.
We like your voice.
Yep, I do.
You're,
I do. I'm proud to call you all my friends. That's for sure.
yes.
And I know you all feel it, and that's why I was smiling so much when Donny was sitting at the table tipping that night. And again, I was trying to meld with Bob and Jim at the time, sitting at the table. When all three of us were together, I felt like it was really pulling off of us. We were all willing to step aside and let other people who needed to get the information that they needed. I mean, once you get this, you don't go in and go, I really want to hear from my Aunt Sally. Well, you might not get Aunt Sally. Aunt Sally might, let's just say she might be busy at the time. Doesn't mean she can't right now. And somebody else might come through and go, she's fine, but I need to talk to you about this. If a spirit does that, for the love of God, shut up and listen, because it's something you need to hear in this moment of your life. And when you do that, especially at this table tipping, James got a wonderful, very much needed message. You got it at another night, a very much needed message. One you didn't even know you had come there to hear. Wasn't even on your mind, was it? It was just, out of the blue, but it was so profound for you. And I think, Donny, you got the same thing. See, if we get you out there, you're going to get it too. And I can tell you right now, your granny will be the first one through. You should be knocking your mama over to get to you first. I know it. No doubt.
Spider-Man talks about his spider senses tingling. Mm-hmm. I have what I call my granny senses. And when they tingle, I've learned to pay close attention, because I'm about to be shown something, I'm about to learn something, or about to unlearn something and rethink it from a different perspective. So she's there.
Yeah.
And everybody's is there. You know what I mean? It's not just us. It's you guys too. And if you want to hear from somebody and you're not, it doesn't mean that they're not trying to get through. It's just if you are thinking in that way, it's almost in some cases you block it. I've got relatives that are on the other side that I have not heard from, but I've had other people tell me they're fine. They're working through some stuff. Time is different to them than it is to us. Yeah. So just give them love and good energy and send that to them, and they'll get it.
Aunt Sally's gone to the outhouse, but I'm going to talk to you till she comes back.
Yeah. But it's so cool because like Donnie's a perfect example here. He had no idea that in his past these things were so strong. And I think, Donnie, of course, this is just a theory. I don't know that much, that you were in the right time, the right frame of mind to receive the information. And you showed an interest in it, which sparked her and gave her a way in. And, once you ask for help and you ask for answers like that, like even my son got a visit from a very important visit from a spirit guide. And he had been for months asking for a sign, make it clear. I need it right here, so I don't have to question it. Just boom, I can't talk myself out of it. And they came. But once he opened up to that, his first one with all the people, the strong people on the other side that could have come through for him, they all pushed forward this spirit guide who needed to give him very important messages at this time. And it was about what I just said about the light and the dark and people picking a side and using their abilities to heal this land and each other and to connect with nature and connect with your past, because we don't learn from history, right, Mike? We're destined to repeat it. And we also have to, like we were talking about in the beginning of this conversation, with giving homage to the sage and giving that even more power, because you're intentionally connecting, you're acknowledging the creator who helped it grow, the earth who gave it to you, the herb that is giving its properties to help you heal and cleanse a home or yourself. And once you do all that and all that connection, it's no different than the beautiful, I don't know if you've ever seen the beautiful Japanese tea ceremony. Everything, every movement has a reason. Okay. How is that different than the Shabbat or when they're doing Passover and everybody's singing and they have the scarves or they have the yarmulke and they're lighting the candles to represent? Each one of our beliefs is important. And we carry that with us. And we also carry the beliefs of our ancestors and what made them persevere and what made them carry on through their troubled times.
Right.
And that's why we're here. And it's really bigger than us. It goes all the way back and goes all the way forward. So we're part of this moving movement of light and consciousness. And I feel it. I feel it so strong. So open up to that, whether it's asking for feathers or, to see your own personal sign. Just try that this week, and we'll come back next week to see if anybody got anything. Yeah. I'll tell you, my last birthday, I opened up to that. We're talking about it in the chat. I got a penny. I got a sound. I know it sounds weird. All on my birthday. And still I wasn't looking for it. It hit me, surprised me each time. I got a penny with my birth date, my birth year on it, sitting on my driver's seat, in the middle of my driver's seat in a locked car, date up.
Yeah, and Nicole was mentioning that in the chat earlier, how she finds coins. That happens to me. I find coins in my house.
Look at that date.
I find them in the yard, found them on the sidewalk when nobody's been at my house. And one house I lived in Portland, I would hear coins drop and roll across. It had the original fir flooring in it. It was built in 1895. I would hear a coin roll across the floor. So just like it fell from the sky or out of the ceiling or just apported. And I found like an Indian head penny in the middle of the floor. So
yeah,
I remember you called me that day
too.
Yeah.
I remember you called me that day when you found the penny in your car, because we were talking, because we're supposed to talk about
probably
like our first one of our episodes together, and then
right.
You just called me. You're like, Donny, you never guess what happened.
And at the same time, I'm going to work, and when I have this few memories of my grandfather, just great big hands, and tell me to be careful around the tools, and like little flashes of memory. He died when I was 3, so but I absolutely love my pop-up. So I do remember riding in his car in the back. He had this old Dodge or something, and when he went to make a left turn, I could always tell when he was going to turn. We're almost home, and I was laying down in the back seat like kids did before seatbelts, So we used to make this weird, it was a real deep turn signal sound. I'm driving to work that morning right after I found the penny, and when I turned my turn signal on, it made that damn sound. My car doesn't make that sound. No. So much like the pool balls or, Michael's friend being able to actually have his sound of his voice come through, which is powerful, by the way.
Yeah.
To be able to manifest these sounds like this, just a little happy birthday from, pop up. And then I go to work and I start humming a song, and it's, wait a minute. It's, Your Love Is Driving Me Bananas. From 1923, your red scarf matches your eyes. The clothes covered before striking. Father's got a shipment of the booze. Loving you is driving me bananas. I'm like, where's this song coming from? Then I remembered this is the song my grandmother used to sing to me when we walked to this corner store back when I was 6. They each found a way to get through. So open yourself up to these messages, at the same time raising your consciousness and keeping your lights as bright as possible, because I do believe that we're all here right now for a reason. I bet we all chose to be.
We're here to help one another and guide one another. Yep. And be kind there in the chat. I think you did email me, and I forgot to get back to you, and I apologize. You would not believe how many emails.
So many emails.
Go ahead and email me again, and I'll put a star on it.
I get behind too. I get behind too. If I missed it, I apologize.
I get several hundred emails a day. Usually people want me to come here or come there or be on this show.
Tess says give him a banana. He's got the monkeypox. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, it has been an absolute riveting conversation again tonight. It's always a pleasure to get together with my friends. I'm so glad I have friends that during a conversation you will hear sentences like, I need to go and invest that cemetery. I know a few dead people that are buried there. It's a great conversation. You can't beat it. And these are my friends. And I'm so glad that I can share my friends with you guys.
And that cemetery I was telling you about, the Sunset Memorial there that you said you investigated, a friend of mine, when he was buried there was a rabbit came out of the woods, a cottontail rabbit, hopped right up to the grave and sat there for the whole ceremony And then when they lowered him into the ground, the rabbit hopped off back into the woods.
That's interesting.
I believe that was his way of saying goodbye.
Yeah, that was him. I believe that. Oh, yeah. That's amazing.
So cool. When you open yourself up to this, there's so many cool things. And I want everybody to share in that. You know, a lot of people out there need that little boost or that little hug. And I always hear like, why aren't they coming to me or why aren't they doing that? Just try something different. Try this and see if you get a feather this week, or if you get a penny from heaven, or whatever it may be, or an angel number, or something along those lines. Just open yourself up to it. But then, you know, try to do, I find what really helps is little acts of kindness that really, you don't think they add up to anything, but it's that spark of adrenaline, of kindness and warmth that you get back from it. And we all need that right now. So what's it going to hurt to open the door for somebody? Or, you know, somebody, I was waiting for this guy not to have change. He was looking right in front of me. It was just a little bit of change. And I was looking, he just beat me to it because I was just going to cover it, you know, I always say I need the karma. Don't worry about it. You can go in front of me in the line.
And I say this a lot, but, you know, just those random acts of kindness. Pay for the person's coffee in the car behind you.
Right.
Something. Things like that. But I believe in the law of sowing and reaping. And whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap. You plant a kernel of corn, you don't get a kernel of corn back. You get a stalk. And on that stalk, there's a dozen ears. Each one of those ears has 100 kernels or more. So plant a harvest that you want to reap.
There you go.
The way I look at that.
Exactly.
That's great. Great.
Wise
Mike,
words.
Tell us again. I did not about the book. I put it on the cover of tonight's episode. And where could we get that? Because I'd like to get it myself.
Which book?
You had the cover of. It's something about.
Yeah. Well, it's not out yet. I actually started this book project. It's called Chasing the Darkness.
Yes.
The Heritage Hunters, different adventures. And they really are all personal cases, family cases, really amazing things. I started it before I started doing the series on
Which is a
Prime.
lot of work.
Yes. And so I kind of shelved it, but I am going to go back to finishing it and putting it out. So when it is ready to come out, I will definitely share it with everybody.
Do. And come back and tell us about it. Come back, won't you?
I sure will.
And again, the show is available on Prime TV. And it is Journey to the Past.
Journey through the past.
Through the
That's
past.
Right. Yes.
Yep. So close.
Yep.
Synchronicities, people. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, appreciate everybody watching it. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Thanks for having me on.
I love what you said last time. Oh, you're welcome anytime. We need paranormal shows that focus more on the events and the history of the place and the paranormal than the people themselves that are doing the investigation.
Yeah.
And I really like that because it seems like we moved away from that where it was just like sightings or unsolved mysteries where they tell the history of the story and let it unfold that way. And I think that's why things like the Storytellers Convention and stuff is still going strong, Steve, because that's us. We're storytellers. And all we're doing is saying, look, we heard this or this happened to us. And, you know, and here's how it went down. And we're just passing it along. Right, Steve? And you're doing it all the time on 13 Past Midnight and Missing Persons and Mysteries. And that is over on YouTube.
Most popular series on missing persons and mysteries, and it's the mysteries side of it. Our focus will always be missing people. But on the mystery side of the name, we do listener stories where people can write in with their true experiences. We get skinwalkers, ghosts,
the whole thing.
Gnomes, Bigfoot, everything. There's just some amazing stories out there. And again, you send them in, I read them. It's up to you to decide what you want to believe or not. But
there you go.
I've seen enough weird things in my life that I don't discount anything.
We've seen some shit, ain't we, hon? We have seen some shit. Like Alice said to Dorothy, we've seen some shit. And that's for sure, man. Well, I'll tell you what, Donny, now what you've got coming up is Donny's thinking about doing a little podcast, and I'm trying to encourage him to do so. I think he'd do absolutely fantastic. And,
I'm still trying to decide what I want the podcast to be about, though. I'm like,
it'll come.
The Donny Cho Celebrity Hot Tub Party.
There you go.
There you go. But he is coming up with me. He's going to be doing this wonderful episode. We've got, we might have bitten off more than we could chew, but we're going to keep chomping at it, aren't we, Donnie? We're getting you something ready for Halloween. Steve and Sandy are planning great things for Halloween night. It will be Steve's birthday, so we will also be celebrating simultaneously on this channel with Steve. We'll be dressing up in costumes, watching them trick or treat, telling ghost stories. Dress up, come in, tell a ghost story, bring your own snacks and booze, and we'll give you some booze back, won't we, Steve?
Yeah,
and Mike,
we're gearing up
you guys
for,
are welcome.
We're doing the 31 nights of Halloween this year, so every night in October we'll have either a production video or a live stream, and then that'll culminate Halloween night. We're going to go live, and then we'll have to figure out how we're going to do it, but we're going to be on with Cisco, and then it's going to redirect over. We're going to sit out front and stream live while we hand out candy. Sandy handed out over 80 pounds of candy last year, so get a lot of trick-or-treaters here. Going to sit out there in costume with decorations and live stream it and tell ghost stories.
Thank you, mods. They're throwing up links right now. We appreciate it so much. Everybody is invited Halloween night, and also here on this channel on for Halloween, I have done the 5 2.5 to 3 hour episodes. You're welcome. Of nothing but ghosts and UFOs and stories and fun little cartoons and everything else.
Tell them about Cabin 22. When is that?
Oh my goodness! Well, the episodes are going to be an extra night. They're going to be on Saturday night from 7 till whenever. I'll be there in the chat with you guys. That'll be all the way up until Halloween. And the Monday before Halloween or Sunday before Halloween, we will be here live listening to Cabin 22, live together with the chat and everything else. And we're going to listen to the whole story up until Steve's birthday on the Monday the 31st. So we'll be beginning it and ending it on All Hallows Hell Night.
About
Hell
14 hours of audio,
14
I think.
hours.
Like
wow.
14 hours. We're going to do it, I think, in 5 nights. I think we're going to listen to it. So that'll be fun. So bring your bacon caramel popcorn and your Mrs. McGee's apple pie moonshine. I have all the recipes for you. Share your recipes, do all that. We'll have
you got to get that. You got to get that bacon moonshine, Cisco. Like you know about the bacon moonshine, right?
Is there bacon moonshine?
Yeah, I was like drinking one time actually on the show. I was like, "This
is
really moonshine." It's like
there you go.
It tastes like bacon.
You'll have to bring that.
It's like a bunch of artificial flavors are made to taste like bacon.
Kind of like that Jones soda that tastes like turkey dressing.
What else would you drink for such an occasion other than bacon moonshine?
Mrs. McGee's apple pie moonshine.
And if you can't find bacon moonshine, I've heard that you can put just a couple of drops of liquid smoke in it, and it does kind of the same.
And that'll do it. That'll do it.
That's what I've heard.
A couple of drops of liquid smoke just about anywhere can't hurt. So there you go. Yeah. All right, guys. Listen, I love you all very much. Come here. This is where Halloween's going to happen. Everybody is welcome. Donnie will be with me here on the East Coast, and Steve and Sandy will be over in the New Mexicans over there celebrating, and we're going to have an absolute blast. So please join us as little or as much as you like. We're going to celebrate. Nobody does Halloween like we do, right, man? So we're going to have a blast. We're already started. I don't know what's taking y'all so long. I had jack-o'-lanterns already. What the hell's going on with y'all? So thank you guys so much for coming tonight. Michael, we love you so much.
Good seeing you.
Can't wait till the next time. I get to hug you guys again.
Always a pleasure, Cisco. Love you.
Thank you. I love you
Everybody
too.
In the chat, I'm love all you guys. Have a safe week. We'll see you next Monday.
Thanks. You too. Take care, everybody.
I am so glad that you got to finally hear your EVP, Donnie. I think it was well worth it.
I'm glad that we didn't get to hear myself speaking Korean, because I was actually like, I've never heard myself speaking Korean before. I was like, oh man, I'm kind of.
That's a whole different kind of EVP, baby. Good night, everybody. I love you, chat. Be kind to each other. Don't forget Cisco's PayPal, super chats, and thank yous, or just like and share and comment, and that helps me out so much. I love you all. Good night, everybody.
Night, guys.
Good night. Make cornbread.